When dealing with a narcissist, most people make the same fundamental mistake. They assume that kindness, patience, and understanding will eventually break through. It's a noble instinct. We're taught from a young age that if someone is difficult, we should try to empathize with them, to be patient, to respond to their hostility with warmth, and in many cases, that's good advice. But not when you're dealing with a narcissist. Because here's the harsh truth. Narcissists don't see kindness the way you do. They don't process it as an admirable quality, nor do they appreciate it as an act of goodwill. Instead, they see it as an opportunity and opening to exploit, a sign that you're someone who can be controlled. This is a difficult concept for many people to accept because it contradicts our deeply held belief that treating others with kindness should be met with the same in return. But narcissists operate by a different psychological framework entirely. For the narcissist, relationships are not built on mutual respect or shared affection. They're based on power. Everything they do is about control. Control over the narrative, control over the people in their lives, control over their image. And when they encounter someone who leads with kindness, they don't think, oh, here's a person of integrity and warmth. They think, here's someone I can use. They test you, subtly at first. Maybe they make a joke at your expense, something laced with just enough venom to sting. And when you brush it off, when you laugh nervously or rationalize it away, they take note. Maybe they push further, doing something that crosses a line, ignoring your feelings, dismissing your concerns, twisting your words. And when you try to address it with politeness and understanding, they learn something critical. You're someone who prioritizes harmony over conflict. That means you're someone they can manipulate. This is the trap of kindness. It's not that kindness itself is a weakness. It isn't. In fact, genuine kindness requires strength. But when kindness is offered indiscriminately, without discernment, without the ability to recognize when it's being used against you, it becomes a liability. Narcissists survive on the compliance of others. They depend on the fact that most people don't want to be rude, don't want to cause a scene, don't want to be the bad guy. And so they push further. They escalate, they exploit, and they do it with a frightening level of precision because they are masters at reading people, at sensing vulnerabilities, at identifying what will keep you trapped. If guilt will work, they'll use guilt. If flattery will work, they'll use flattery. If intimidation will work, they'll use intimidation. They don't care which tool they use, only that it gets them what they want. This is why so many people who find themselves entangled with narcissists feel a profound sense of confusion because they keep trying to solve the problem with the wrong tools. They think, if I can just be patient, if I can just explain myself better, if I can just show them that I mean well, they'll change. But narcissists don't change in response to kindness. They double down. They sense your unwillingness to fight back and they use it against you. So what do you do instead? The answer is simple, but it's not easy. You stop playing the game. You recognize that niceness is not the tool that will set you free. Instead, you must embrace something far more powerful. Discernment. The ability to see a situation for what it truly is rather than what you wish it were. The willingness to acknowledge that some people are not operating in good faith, that not everyone is capable of genuine reciprocity, that sometimes the most ethical response to manipulation is to refuse to engage with it at all. This doesn't mean becoming cruel or vengeful. It doesn't mean stooping to their level or abandoning your values. It means standing firm. It means recognizing when kindness is being used as a leash around your neck and having the strength to break free from it. It means setting boundaries that are not up for negotiation, walking away from situations that drain you, and understanding that you are not obligated to offer compassion to someone who sees it only as a weakness to be exploited. The moment you make this shift, everything changes. Because narcissists do not know how to handle people who refuse to be controlled. Their power relies entirely on your participation in their game. They need you to argue with them, to explain yourself, to beg for their approval, to let them push your boundaries just a little further each time. When you remove that participation, when you stop justifying, stop explaining, stop reacting, they lose their grip on you. And this is what they fear the most. Not your anger, not your retaliation, but your indifference. Your refusal to give them the emotional reaction they crave. Your ability to walk away without looking back. Because in the end, the true antidote to a narcissist control is not kindness, it's clarity. The clarity to see through their games, the clarity to recognize their patterns, and the clarity to choose yourself instead of them. That's the decision that sets you free. One of the most difficult truths to accept when dealing with a narcissist is that they do not see the world the way you do. This isn't simply a matter of having a different perspective, a different upbringing, or different values. No, this is something far more fundamental. Their entire psychological framework is structured around one thing: control. Everything they do, every interaction they engage in, is driven by a singular unconscious motive to assert dominance over their environment and the people within it. And this is where most people go wrong. They assume that if they just appeal to reason, if they just communicate their feelings clearly, if they just show enough patience, the narcissist will eventually come around. But the reality is much darker. A narcissist does not engage with you in good faith. They are not interested in resolving conflict, nor are they particularly concerned with fairness or mutual respect. Instead, they operate on a system of psychological warfare, probing for weaknesses, setting traps, and ensuring that at the end of every interaction, they remain in control. This is why arguing with a narcissist is a waste of time, because you're not actually having a conversation. You might think you're debating, negotiating, or setting boundaries, but what's really happening is a game of psychological chess in which the narcissist is always 2 moves ahead. You present a rational argument, they twist your words. You express hurt, they dismiss your feelings or turn the blame back on you. You try to hold them accountable, and suddenly you're the one on the defensive, explaining yourself, justifying your emotions, proving that you're not the bad guy. And here's the critical part: you never actually get anywhere, because the goalposts are always shifting. The rules of engagement change depending on what benefits the narcissist in that moment. If playing the victim serves their purposes, they will act wounded and mistreated. If aggression is needed, they will lash out, demeaning you, undermining your confidence. If manipulation will get them what they want, they will use charm, feigned vulnerability, or even grand gestures of affection to pull you back in. And the moment you respond, whether in anger, frustration, or even an attempt to clarify your stance, you are back in the game, back in their control. So, what's the alternative? How do you win against someone who is always playing to win, no matter the cost? The answer is simple in theory, but challenging in practice. You refuse to play. You step outside of their control by refusing to react the way they expect. This is the only move that truly disarms a narcissist, because it takes away their power. The power they derive from knowing they can affect you, that they can manipulate your emotions, that they can push you into defending yourself. This is what psychologists call the gray rock method, but in a broader sense, it's about something much deeper than just appearing indifferent. It's about embodying true emotional detachment. It's about reaching a level of clarity where you understand fully and completely that you owe this person nothing. Not your explanations, not your apologies, not your time. This is where many people struggle. Because instinctively we want to be heard, we want fairness, we want closure. And we assume that if we can just articulate our case well enough, if we can just get the narcissist to see our point of view, they'll have no choice but to acknowledge the truth. But that's not how this works, because the narcissist is not seeking truth. They are seeking control. And the moment you engage in the argument, you give them exactly that. Walking away is hard. Not reacting is hard because it feels unnatural. It feels unfair. It feels like surrender. But here's the thing. Silence is not surrender. Refusing to engage is not losing. In fact, it's the only real victory you will ever have against a narcissist, because it is the only thing they cannot manipulate. They cannot twist your words if you do not offer any. They cannot bait you into conflict if you refuse to take the bait. They cannot feed off your emotional responses if you don't provide them. And at first they will fight it, they will push harder, they will provoke, escalate, test new tactics to draw you back in. They will guilt trip, rage, play the victim, charm, lie, anything to pull you back into their web, because they need your energy to sustain their power. But the longer you hold the line, the more their grip on you weakens. Because fundamentally, they do not know how to control someone who refuses to engage. And this is what truly shocks them. Not anger, not confrontation, not even counter-manipulation. What truly unsettles a narcissist is the realization that they no longer matter to you. That their words have lost their weight. That their tactics no longer produce the desired effect. That you have reached a place where their control no longer extends over you. This is not an easy process. It requires a deep shift in mindset, a willingness to accept hard truths about who they are and what they will never be. It requires you to let go of the need for justice, for validation, for resolution. But once you do, once you truly internalize the fact that a narcissist will never change, that their entire existence is built around maintaining dominance, you free yourself from the cycle. And that is the moment they lose all power over you. Because in the end, the only way to win against a narcissist is to stop playing their game entirely. A fundamental mistake people make when dealing with a narcissist is assuming that beneath the grandiosity, the manipulation, and the constant need for control, there is a rational person who can be reasoned with. Someone who, if you just say the right words or show enough patience, will finally understand. But this is an illusion, and it is one that keeps people trapped. You have to understand that a narcissist is not operating in the same psychological landscape as you. They do not process emotions the way you do, they do not reflect on their actions the way you do, and they certainly do not value relationships the way you do. Their entire worldview is built around a simple, unspoken principle: power. Every interaction, every conversation, every moment of connection is an opportunity for them to establish dominance, to assert superiority, to ensure that they remain in control. This is why every attempt to reason with them fails. You can present the most logical argument, the most compelling evidence, but logic is not what governs their actions. What governs them is what benefits them in the moment. If twisting reality serves their agenda, they will do it. If playing the victim gets them what they want, they will do it. If gaslighting you into questioning your own perception gives them the upper hand, they will do it. There are no fixed rules in their world, only what works for them at any given time. So when you approach a narcissist with fairness, expecting reciprocity, you are engaging in an entirely different game than the one they are playing. You are using the language of reason, of mutual respect, of emotional honesty, assuming that if you give those things, they will be returned to you. But that assumption is precisely what keeps you locked in their control, because they recognize your fairness, your empathy, your emotional investment, and they use those things against you. Think about the moments when you have confronted a narcissist with their own behavior. You lay out the facts. You explain how their actions have hurt you. You appeal to their sense of morality, expecting some level of acknowledgement, some willingness to meet you halfway. And what happens? Do they take responsibility? Do they reflect? Do they offer genuine remorse? No. Instead, they deflect, they minimize, they twist the conversation until suddenly you're the one who feels like the aggressor, as though you are somehow in the wrong for daring to hold them accountable. And before you know it, you are defending yourself, explaining your own reactions, justifying your emotions, proving that you are not being unreasonable. And this is how they win, because they are not interested in truth. They are not interested in fairness. They are interested in maintaining control. And the moment they succeed in shifting the focus off of their behavior and onto your response, they have already won the battle. So what is the alternative? If reasoning with them doesn't work, if fairness is exploited, if emotional appeals are used as weapons against you, what can you do? The answer is both simple and profoundly difficult. You stop seeking their validation. This is the key that unlocks everything, because as long as you are trying to get them to understand, as long as you are waiting for them to acknowledge your pain, as long as you are hoping for an apology that will never come, you are still caught in their web. You are still allowing them to dictate the terms of your emotional reality. But the moment you let go of that need, truly let go, you strip them of their power. You stop arguing, you stop explaining, you stop reacting, not because you are weak, but because you finally see the game for what it is and you refuse to play it anymore. And this is what truly unsettles a narcissist. Not confrontation, not anger, not trying to outmaneuver them at their own tactics. What truly shakes them to their core is your indifference. The realization that their words no longer have an effect on you, that their manipulations no longer land, that they have lost the ability to pull you into their orbit. At first, they will push harder. They will test new ways to provoke a reaction. They may escalate their cruelty, or they may suddenly shower you with affection in a desperate attempt to pull you back in. Because they need your emotional engagement. They need to know that they can still make you react, that they still matter to you. But if you hold the line, if you truly detach, if you stop seeking their approval, if you accept once and for all that you will never get the fairness or closure you deserve, something remarkable happens. The power dynamic shifts. They sense, often before you even fully realize it yourself, that they are losing their grip on you. That the very thing they relied on, your desire for resolution, your tendency to see the good in them, your willingness to keep trying, has slipped away. And when that happens, their control shatters. Not because you won an argument, not because you got them to admit their